Hello, strangelings. Welcome back to my parlor. So today I, of course, did my card reading video because today, you may be seeing this on Thursday, but I'm recording it on Monday. And I wanted to talk a little bit about the cards. Now, of course, I have infamously said that these cards, whether they're pentacles, swords, whether they're cups or wands, these cards all are technically meaningless. Now, of course, if you go through, there is a theme of, for pentacles, happy incidents and or sad incidents, but all to do with something that is more monetary. This guy is being industrious, creating things to sell. This guy is being industrious and growing things to sell. These are both indications of money coming in. She has grown this garden for a while and has a lot of money coming in. So on and so forth. You will also find the same thing with, say, the swords, where things kind of, you have your decision making, you have your heart broke, you have your feeling dead. These are generally what they tend to convey. And yes, they can be seen as positive, but mostly seem to feel like they convey negative things. Cups and wands are much the same. There are some cards that are more positive in those suits, and there's some that are more negative in the positive suits too. Where the real meanings come in actually has a tendency to be in the higher arcane, hence being the higher arcane. Now, of course, even these have very loose meanings, but those meanings are a little more guided, for say, than the loose meaning that exists for the lower arcane or for the suits. For instance, the Fool tends to mean, one, that you are someone who is charging in without looking, and or you are someone who is taking a new journey with fresh, doughy eyes and has everything you need within you. The Magician tends to be someone who is finding a way to make everything he has gotten, whether it is the pentacles and cups or the swords and wands, and trying to turn that into something useful for him and or his community. The High Priestess, someone who, like me, I have not only been shown the High Priestess card as the card that will be talking about me in readings since I was about 5 years old, but I also kind of embody the High Priestess, not necessarily naturally. Some of my info junkie-ness actually is created by me. I chose to want to absorb knowledge for as long as I can in my life. So I will be an info junkie until maybe I have Alzheimer's, which I doubt I'll have. This is also the High Priestess. She wants to know as much as possible so she can give as accurate of help as possible. So she is a purveyor of knowledge. The Empress, a woman of leisure, someone who has everything she needs. You can even see in the card, sorry guys, let me center this. You can even see in the card when it focuses in that she has this stream in the background on her land. She has resource abundance. With this grain in front of her and this water behind her, she has total resource abundance. She has literally everything she needs. And all. She has the ability to do anything she needs in the world. She has the ability to stand as an authority figure, and she has embodied the queen of all of the suits, as has the emperor embodied the king of all the suits. Now, as you can see, the emperor, however, does not embody that abundance the same. He has Rocky Mountains behind him. Not the Rocky Mountains, obviously, that's me. But he has these mountains behind him. He has presence. He has authority, which is echoed by these mountains. But though he does embody all of the kings of all suited kings, I should say. Sorry guys, I'm just trying to figure out how English works. It's okay. That's how I am. I even still have my tea from the read, guys. So because of that, he embodies empowerment and all of that, but he embodies a different form, a more material form, much like the pentacles and swords. While the Empress embodies the more fundamental resource abundance of the cups, as well as having gone through non-material woes of the wands. It's not that they have walked in those in less equal measure. They have definitely got equal measure walking into that. What it is the fact that they are embodying more. And that is more because of our history as humans. We have seen women more as nurturers and caregivers. So therefore, she is the embodiment more of the natural side of tarot. Where, unfortunately, they also believe that males are more dictated of the material world. And so therefore, that emperor embodies more the material world. Now, the Hierophant for a Bohemian. Now, of course, many people will read it in all kinds of ways. Most people will read this Hierophant as the high priest, as a counterpart to the high priestess. You'll notice, however, that the Hierophant does not follow the high priest. The Hierophant follows the emperor. This is on purpose. You see, the Empress being more in tune with the natural side of tarot is the more close to the high priestess than the Hierophant is, because the Hierophant's main concern is the world of the material. You can tell by those keys. You see, he believes, the Hierophant and his followers all believe that he owns the keys to heaven. That's what that key on the Hierophant is supposed to represent. It is supposed to be the Hierophant's belief that he owns the keys to heaven, and through him is the only way that you could borrow them. The Lovers almost always indicates a love connection. However, the Lovers can also indicate a one-night stand or a intense partnership with non-romantic inclinations. The Chariot always indicates movement, whether it indicates getting a new car, whether it indicates moving to a new town. It indicates movement. Strength indicates the embodiment of what it says. It indicates that you have the ability or will gain the ability, or that this is what is your strength. the Hermit indicates, I don't want to say loneliness necessarily, but the Hermit indicates the instinct to be alone. The Wheel of Fortune is a card that reminds us that fortune, whether good or bad, is always turning. And no, it does not mean that it is always turning in our favor, because fortune is not always turning in our favor. Justice. It means just what it says. Justice. Whether it's for you or for someone else, justice will be done. And if this comes with cards that would indicate that it is saying that justice hasn't been done, well, then that's exactly what it means. The Hangman is contemplation. It is a need or a current action of contemplation. Death. And by the way, one of the biggest reasons for tristodectophobia. Sorry guys, that one's a hard one to say, and I have to remember it before I can even say it out loud. This is actually the biggest reason for tristodectophobia. And for those who don't know what tristodectophobia is, tongue-tied, it's not just a device to tongue-tie you, it is actually fear of the number 13. But death is not an end necessarily. You'll hear card readers tell you all of the time, it is not an end. It is merely a transition between one end and another beginning. However, I have had reads where this has come out as death, as the end of someone's life or of this particular event in their life. I have had this read as such. Temperance is the balancing act. It is learning to, like the great country song says, it's learning to know when to hold 'em and know when to fold 'em, so on and so forth. The devil is in fact more along the lines of a lack of discipline. It can be evil. It's been evil before. All the higher arcane are also used as essentially name markers for who you're reading for. And as such, the death card the devil card has come out for a few different people for me to be, this is when you know I'm talking to you kind of card. For those who think their cards are talking. However, like I said, it could be temptation. It could be something holding you back. It could be feeling enslaved. So the death card is one of those that is even more ambiguous, much like the lower arcane. It's one of the most ambiguous of the higher arcane. Tower always refers to the Tower of Babel. Referring to the Tower of Babel means, well, the story is the followers of Yahweh had been so enamored with him that they wanted to be able to see their God, to speak to their God, to touch their God. So they commenced to building a tower. After they got so high, God saw this and spoke with those that are with him in heaven. Now, as to whether he was talking to the other gods or the seraphim, yes, I said Yahweh is not the only God, because if Yahweh exists, there is no way he is the only one. Come on, the idea that somebody could be like, I am, and that's the only one that could do it? No. So the Tower of Babel, of course, refers to what God did out of his anger, that they were trying to become like him. According to the story, by the way, God was a jealous God in the Torah. A jealous, greedy, and angry God. If you actually read the Torah, that is what God is. That's why Jesus came up and forged a new idea. Sorry, guys, I gotta move this just a little bit so you experience some vertigo. I'm so sorry. But anyway, that's... This jealous creature has been doing this for a long time. But he, of course, out of his anger that they would want to be like him, close to him where he is, he struck down the tower. And thus doing so, gave a malady upon the heads of man, so that they would not be able to understand each other, so that they would not be able to come together in such a way to build such a tower ever again, hopefully. And that is what the Tower of Babel is all about. The reason why people who talk and say things that don't make sense are called babble, or babblers, they're doing babble, is because of the Tower of Babel. The Babel fish, of course, was a big old hint, because my boy Douglas Adams was a genius too. And so he, of course, reminded people that the Babel fish was all about communication, because the Tower of Babel was all about taking the communication away. This is things coming to a head, and communications being disrupted, connections being torn asunder because of behaviors that were seen as bad. The star is currently, from what I can tell in modern readers, it's being taken at face value, period, end of sentence. The star is not necessarily, anything to do with fame. In fact, the star itself is not the star of the show, but the example of who we should be. You see, the star is trying to give balance back between the water and the land. The star is trying to be that steward that we were all supposed to be according to the Bible. Make sure that's just one card. The moon. The moon tends to be clandestine. Things happening in the dark. Behind closed doors. Closed door meetings to figure out how to rule people without suggesting that maybe they have some, something to say about how they are ruled. People who run fly-by-night companies. That's one of those phrases I have a love-hate relationship with, fly-by-night, because of the fact that it actually comes from gypsies as well. Because we were seen as flying by night, because when there was threats to our community, while we were helping the community where the threat was starting to happen, we would then pack up in the middle of the night while everybody's sleeping, make sure our place is clean. For my tribe, no one could tell we were there, and we'd already be gone. By the time the sun came up, we'd be far enough away that we were taking a good nap before the next leg of our trip, and fly-by-night came to be, unfortunately. But this is the con artist type of fly-by-night. This is going to be someone cooking up a pyramid scheme in the background, things like that. Things done behind people's backs, affairs, so on and so forth. the sun. The sun is, of course, the opposite of the moon. When we talk about our day, the sun is literally the opposite of the moon. We have sun time and we have moon time, really. If you want to go as simple phrasing as possible, that's literally what happens for our world. The sun is the opposite. The sun is jubilation, yes, but in the open. The sun is everything working out in the open. Judgment, of course, is as advertised. It is someone who has done something good or bad that is in fact, deserving of some form of judgment. Hopefully it's good, because then they can get a reward instead of a punishment, but it is what it is. And then there's the world card. Now the world card is interesting. I have heard a lot of things about the world card, but here's what the Bohemians believed about the world card. It wasn't necessarily that the world card has any specific meaning to it. Our wisdom about the world card is the world has an instinct of its own, even if it's not alive. This instinct is for equilibrium. This instinct is for all things in the world, in nature, to be balanced. For everyone and everything in nature. So it's not really, you can get the star card and the world card and you're going to be on the world stage. Not really. And the truth is, like I said, even the upper arcane, even the higher arcane, are as ambiguous as can be. These are only base ideas for these cards. The Fool itself could be talking about having a follower while you are trying to get your bearings and get yourself set. And I can't get this to focus. Hold on, guys. Having a little follower. And I mean, it's a small dog. It's a yipper. It's what we used to call an ankle biter. Maybe your follower is an irritation sometimes or something. Could easily be. Justice never speaks of which direction it goes. The way you find out which direction it goes is all the rest of the cards around it. What all the situation seems to be. What all it seems to be reading to be. And, firstly, I have not always actually read the Hierophant as a false prophet, which is essentially what the Hierophant is mainly presents as in the first place. But their meaning is loose enough that even the higher arcane has many times read for me as if it is sometimes even the opposite of what the card's base is supposed to tend to be. It's just the way it works, guys. So, yeah. I put a video out already talking about the fact that there's no real set meaning to any cards. There's no way to make any videos about card meanings, technically, no matter how many people do it, because of the fact that they do not have set meanings. The cards themselves do not speak. They are mainly a focal point for your own intuitions. They're a guide stone, nothing more. However, those are a guide stone partially because there is a base idea of what the meaning could be, actually. In fact, infamously, give me a moment here, there is a few lower arcane cards that have a slightly more direct meaning than usual. I'm going to go ahead and take some out right now so that I can show you guys. But even then, those meanings are not direct meanings, and those meanings only really apply if the surrounding cards and your intuition actually concur. For instance, you have this card. Now, depending on the reader, you will get a different idea of what the meaning is. But then again, like I said before, there are a lot of readers who really apply full meanings to each and every individual card. And they will tell you that anytime this card comes out, it literally means this every single time. Well, nothing is perfect and nothing is always. Just like nothing is never. It's just not a factual statement. This card, I have heard read as a nostalgia card. I have heard as young love, and so on and so forth. All of these are correct. And they're correct because, again, the meaning is not at all as direct as some readers would like us to believe. Now, I've got a lot of examples here with the swords because there's a lot of them. This one here tends to be a nightmare card. And that is because of the fact that this is a person sitting up in bed. As I pointed out before, these cards in the suits have a tendency to almost be exponentially explaining what their suit means, i.e., the further you go into the swords, the more traumas you have, causing more issues. And these are more material traumas, of course, at least to the Bohemian reading. Now you have both the Two of Swords. This one has a tendency. Now I have heard somebody go completely off of this idea, but this has a tendency to be a card of decisions. Moreover, a card of decisions that you don't necessarily have all of the data, maybe on either side. You are essentially making at least a partially blind decision. Hence the Two Swords. And let me see if I can get a focus in again. Hence the Two Swords and the blindfold. Come on now. There we go. Hence the Two Swords and the blindfold. Sword on each hand, a decision to be made. The blindfold, because you don't have all the information, which for people like me can be quite daunting for decisions, because I thrive on as much information as possible. I have a project that I am currently trying to investigate whether it will be something I can work or not. And I don't start it by, ooh, look at this project, what all will it take? I start it by doing the research. This is a project that would have to be in another area, so of course I do my city, state, and county research to make sure that everything I'm doing is on the up and up before I even decide to go to that area and make those plans in the first place. So, it can be quite daunting to make blind decisions like that, or even partially blind decisions, and that's kind of what that card speaks to. This is a heartbreak. This is a situation which most spiritualists now call a three-party situation, or a third-party situation, right? Where they, as they would term it, karmics are somewhere in your life and have caused a third-party situation where you are in a situation with that person, but behind your back, they also have another situation of that like going, and usually they know that that's going to cause some heartbreak or some anger or whatever. that is what this is, third-party situation. Whether it is in love, whether it is in business, it doesn't matter. But then you have a whole nuance as to what it's supposed to mean. And of course, with the lower arcane, the nuance of what they're supposed to mean is far greater than the nuance of the upper arcane as to what they're supposed to mean. This card is a card that tends to be, despite the fact that it's pentacles, this is a card that is read as being left out in the cold, or come on, focus already, tends to be being left out in the cold or in poverty. As you can see, this is a lame man and woman, both in very shambly clothes, passing what is assumed to be a church window because it's a stained glass window. So, yeah. The cards don't have any true meanings, but there are base meanings for particular cards. Most of those base meanings exist for the upper arcane, not the lower arcane. However, there's some that are a little more assumable for the lower arcane as well. And even then, it's a little... there's still tons of wiggle room for what all of those cards mean. So, I just wanted to make a second talk about card meanings. I do have another one that will be coming out soon, because I'm making it today, guys, about a couple specific cards. And that's because there's a sticking point with those two cards. But, yeah, I wanted to have a second talk because I don't feel like I really fully fleshed out what really is going on with the cards and why I can't really give full meanings for cards. I also wanted to talk about that because I have heard plenty of base meanings for the entirety of the higher arcane. And of course, other people's belief systems say other things. I recently had a good back and forth with somebody who couldn't distinguish between truth and cultural truth. You know, I gave a cultural truth and the person said that they disagreed with me even though they weren't amongst my culture nor had any knowledge of my culture. So, you know, I had to have that conversation. You guys know how I am. I should hope anyway. I can't let someone squash the truth, and I can't abide by people preferring to work in lie. It's not something I enjoy even having to see in the world, honestly. But anyway, I'm going to get out of here, guys. This video's been long enough. Really. But I will see you guys in the next one. Don't forget, however, it doesn't matter who you are, I love you, and to take care of each other. It's always weird when I say I'll see you in the next one before I say that, because then I don't know what to say at the very, very end. But I hope you guys have a great day.